You guys just didn't see that yet because I wasn't on a platform yet to show everybody who I was.
Hey guys, thanks for jumping on Switch Hitting with Fitspits. Check out this week's conversation with Ramon Cardenas, 122-pound contender. Enjoy. Life has changed just a bit, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure. It's been I guess exciting. It's been fresh. Um, coming out from my first loss in what 8 years, and it doesn't. I mean, like me as a competitor, it feels like a loss, but at the same
Right.
time, it doesn't feel that bad because I've had nothing but positive feedback in the sense of everybody loves the fight. Everybody loved the fight,
Sure.
and I just got to take it for what it is. Yeah, I didn't lose to a bum. I lost to one of the pound for pound greats ever. You know what I mean? Not just of now, of ever. And it's one of those things where I gave him a run for his money.
Yeah, you did. I get, yeah, like you said, as far as losses go, life changing losses aren't, I guess, so bad because your profile is raised, I would think, 1,000-fold since a week ago Sunday night. What's it been the last 10 days? I mean, I'm looking at your Instagram and your Twitter just now before you jumped on. I'm like, you're up to 15,000 on Instagram. I don't know where you were 2 weeks ago, but
I was
I'm
at
guessing.
five. I was at
Um,
5.
yeah, well, there you go, man. She's threefold on Instagram, so that's
Mhm.
indicative of a lot of stuff. What's it been like? Are you happy about it, or are you thinking, okay, well, I was this guy 2 weeks ago, and you guys just didn't know? Like, how what's the feeling like inside your head?
So for me, when it comes to like a competitor way, like in boxing wise, like yeah, like for me, I've been that guy. You
Right.
know what I mean? I've been who I said I was gonna be, who I said I was, and you guys, not as in you, but like
No,
just
no,
in
I
general,
got you.
like you guys just didn't see that yet because I wasn't on a platform yet to show everybody who I was. And now that I got the opportunity again, I lost. I could have continued the fight, but I won't ever. The ref did his job, and he thought, he did what he did, and he's been boxing, let's say 20 plus years, so I won't ever argue why he did what he did. But at the end of the day, um, it's just one of those things, man, where you kind of just life has been different for sure, 100%, and I'm just kind of rolling with the punches, kind of being able to maneuver, or not so much maneuver, but find the balance. You know what I mean?
Now, going into that fight, watching the ESPN broadcast, they're mentioning Inoue for obvious reasons. I mean, he's got a track record a mile long, and he's a legit pound for pound guy and has been for a
Mhm.
while. So nobody can really say anything bad about him. But they're saying, okay, this guy's never fought a 12 rounder. He's never beat like a really high end guy. We
Mhm.
think this is kind of going to be a walkover and like a showcase for Inoue. Like you said, as a competitor coming in, knowing that before the fight even starts, does that piss you off? Does that motivate you? Like what does that do to a guy when you know that nobody is thinking you're going to last more than maybe 5, 6 rounds at the most?
I mean, for me, it was just more. It was more of a motivation, like you said. For me, it was more of a motivation to show everybody, like, just because I don't have 100,000, 200,000 Instagram followers doesn't mean I'm a bad fighter. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fighters out there in the world, man, that don't get the recognition because they're not very well known. You know what I mean? And then they get their chance, and they take advantage of it, and then they're like, "Oh, damn, who is this guy? He came from the unknown." But it's like, no, like he's been around. He just never one really paid attention to him.
Right.
So for my situation, it was like the same exact situation where I've always been that dude. I've always been, like a good fighter and stuff, but no one really realized it until I actually got the opportunity to display what I could do. And again, and it's funny because I'm speaking about a loss, like if I won, and that's been the balance that I have to find because people would be like, "Oh, well, you lost," like, "Oh, either way, you lost." But it's like, dude, any person in a sense, like, there's nobody right now, and I'm not gonna say nobody, but to be in a way is gonna be a hard task
Right.
for
Now,
anybody, not just me.
Sure, sure. Well, obviously nobody has, and guys who are in the are going to go to the Hall of Fame haven't beaten him either. So, I guess talk about that fight, and obviously the moment in the fight, from your perspective, is the second round. You hit him with the shot. Uh, when he goes to the floor and they're pulling you back to the corner, what are you thinking in that moment? Are you thinking, okay, I'm on the verge of stopping this guy, or what is going through your head at that moment? Because that's got to be an adrenaline rush, like like nothing you've ever experienced before.
At that moment, I kind of was just like, yes, like okay, like I got him, because I knew I could hurt him. And so I was like, okay, I got him. Now I just gotta continue like doing what I'm doing, you know, continue the fight. I honestly felt um I just felt like okay, like I can hurt him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was the thing is mentally, and that's why that was a blessing and a curse because it was a blessing that I can hurt him. And I was like, okay, my power is enough to hurt him. Like I have good. I know I hit hard, but I was like, okay, I can hurt him. But it was a curse because then I fell in love too much
Right,
with
right.
the fact that I can hurt him. And so that's where the blessing and curse comes in, where
Gotcha.
it was a blessing that I could hurt him, and I knew I could hurt him, but it was a curse because I fell in love with it too much.
Now, I don't know if you've gone back and watched the broadcast at all, but before the fight, Tim Bradley was breaking down video and he talked about Inoue being vulnerable to exactly that shot. I mean, that's because Neary hit him with a shot similar to that, and then you hit him with
Yeah.
that. Was that something going in that you thought he was vulnerable to, or was that a shot you were going to use anyway, and it just happened to knock him down? What was that about?
I mean, it was a shot that we worked on in the gym for sure, 100%, because every fighter has their vulnerabilities. Every fighter, I don't care who it is, Floyd
Sure.
Mayweather from Muhammad Ali.
Mhm.
Everybody has their vulnerabilities, and for me, that was one thing that we saw, throughout the training camp, that he was very um vulnerable when it came to like his hand positioning, where he has his hands all the time. And we worked on it. It was something that we worked on, and plus, I'm naturally a strong left-handed guy. It's funny. I'm like dominant with my right. I I right with my right. I kick a soccer ball with my right and everything, but with my left, I hit harder. I hit equally as hard with both, but my left has always been that one shot where like if I
Power
can
shot.
land it, I could knock somebody out.
Now you said you kind of fell in love with the power after that, thinking, okay, well, another one's going to come eventually. Did you sense, by the end of the second round or not too long after that, that you let a moment get away, or is that not even going through your head because you're just looking for the next moment at that point?
At that point, I was just looking to finish the job,
Mm-hmm.
like to keep fighting and take it round by round because we knew that the fight was going to be a round by round fight. You know how some people have like, oh, we're gonna do a second half fight, or everything's gonna be in the second half or the first half. Or for me, I knew that it was gonna be a round by round fight. My team also knew that, so that's what we were taking it as. We were taking it by round as like per round. And what I didn't expect was for him to like, because I mean, seeing Inoue prior, he was so used to hitting guys with one shot knockout power, and he would hurt them and drop them, and those guys would kind of fold. And for me, if you notice, he was throwing more because he knew that I felt like he knew that the volume was gonna do more damage
Right,
than
right.
his
One,
power was,
one
because he was
shot, you
hitting.
weren't going anywhere. Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, he'd hit me with one of his shots, and I'd see him, and I was like, I'm good. Like, I don't feel nothing. I'm good. And so he knew that like he wasn't gonna take me out with one shot. So he used volume, and I think it's experience as well, where he had the experience to understand that. And for me, it was my first world title shot, dude. Like it's not no excuses whatsoever.
Right. No, but he has had a bunch of. I mean, he's been fighting championship fights for the last bunch of years now. I think like 20 something in
Hmm.
a row. So clearly he's been through it and he's experienced getting up off the floor and things. So the moment comes in the second. Obviously, your moments are coming the next couple of rounds, but then slowly but surely, it seems like he's kind of overwhelming. You might be too strong a word, but the volume is clearly noticeable, and he's surging toward the end. Is there a moment during the fight, in the corner, whatever, where your belief waned at all, or were you still feeling the same way coming out for the seventh as you were coming out for the third?
No, I was game, brother. The whole time I was game. I knew that at any moment, if I catch him, I can hurt him. That's what kept me in the fight the whole time. I was never out the fight. You know what I mean? I think because again, the fight's 12 rounds. So for me, that I was in the fight the whole time. I was game. I was trying to obviously, like my game plan was to let him come forward and catch him on his way in because we knew little things that we saw. And I was game. The ref, like I said, like he stopped the fight to where he thought, like, okay, I'm gonna stop it. And I kind of was like, I'm good. That's why I was like, no, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Even when he stopped the fight, I said, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. He's like, no. And then he told me, he's like, I know you're good, but you're gonna be okay. And I was like, okay, like I can't argue with that. The fight's already done. The officials already, they're not gonna be like, okay, never mind, guys, he wants to
we're,
go.
we're
Like,
gonna let him go, right?
yeah, they're not gonna do that. So I was like, you know what, cool, like the fight's over with. And I mean, again, you know what I mean? I was game the whole time.
But I would guess even by the press conference afterwards, you had to realize that the perception of you, win, lose, or draw, had changed immensely just based on the reaction you were getting in the ring afterwards, and then I'm sure with the press conference afterwards, with what the guys were saying to you. Did you realize right away? Okay, I'm not going to be the same tomorrow as I was yesterday.
I mean, yeah, for sure. It was one of those things where everything happened so fast. Like, the follower, and it's funny, man, because the followers, the messages and the attention, and now I go around my neighborhood, and I went to go eat at a restaurant that I love to go to here. My friend from high school, his mom and dad own it. And they came up to me, and I always go. So sometimes like I'm always there. And the lady came up to me, the mom, and she was like, "Oh my God, Mijo, like you did so good, and we're very proud of you." And she's like, "The food's on me. Like
Oh,
y'all
nice.
get whatever you want. The food's on me." And and then I went to another spot right now to get coffee. I just went to go hang out with my computer and stuff. Just I have some time to myself.
Sure,
And the guy was like, started talking to me. He's like, "Yeah, man, bro, you did really good in your fight." And I don't even know the guy, but it was cool. And I just met him today. And then he was like, "Man, bro, I watched it with my uncle, and bro, you did badass, man. Like you did really good." And it was pretty cool because it was like one of those things where, like both spots that I've gone today, somebody, I already known them, but they're starting to kind of
sure,
see me more as like a boxer or like a local celebrity type thing. And
sure.
so it's been pretty cool. I mean, you have good attention, you have bad attention, but the good attention outweighs the bad attention by
Sure.
tons.
So now, considering where you were just a couple of years ago, I mean, that's got to feel even better because you're pretty, in the grand scheme of things, you're a pretty anonymous guy coming up until the last 6 months and certainly the last 2 weeks. And now to get recognized or at least to get called out in restaurants and hey, nice job and all that's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, because all my hard work is finally coming into like fruition in the sense of like people are starting to recognize me and starting to like give me my flowers and say, "Dude, you did really good." You know what I mean? Again, and it's funny because I did lose, and that's why I tell people like I'm not ashamed to say I lost to one of the pound for pound greats ever. And the fact that I gave him a competitive fight, like that right there is like okay, like. And I've always said like sometimes as a fighter, fighters lose. But do you really lose? And I used to always say that to people. I'm like, fighters lose, but they don't really lose because if you're making millions, then you're winning to the bank. No one can ever take that away from you. You're able to help your family, set your family up, and buy yourself a home. And so, and for me, I'm not there yet. But for me, I lost, but I won because I won the love of my neighborhood, love
Sure.
of the boxing community, the love of the people around the world that say, "Hey, man, like, bro, you went out there and you gave it your all," and that's us as boxing fans. That's all we want to see.
Mhm. Well, I actually talked to a buddy of mine not long after your fight, and he related it to Gotti Ward, which I'm sure you know all about. And
Hmm.
people remember that fight. They don't remember Gotti lost the first one. Like they don't care who won the fight 20 years later, they just remember how it made them feel when they were watching it. So
Hmm.
I sense, and maybe you sense this too, that this is going to be one of those fights that, yeah, fine, you lost, terrific, but 5 years from now, when they remember that fight, they're going to remember what a great fight it was. They're not going to remember that it ended at whatever time of the eighth round. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to understand that, right?
Yeah, that's one thing that I kind of said in the interview after the fight. I was like, dude, like that's what boxing should be
Yep,
about. The
yep,
best fighting the best, win, lose or draw. Like you're going out there and you're giving the fans, because ultimately, without the fans, there's no boxing. Without the fans, without the people who pay to see, there's no boxing because there'd be no promoters, there'd be no managers, no nothing.
right.
No one's going to the promoter's card to see fighters. Like there's no money coming in. No one's gonna throw a card. So, that's who you have to win over, man. And my coach, Joel, he actually told me, he's like, one thing is, he's like, Ramon, he's like, people go their whole careers wanting to win the people over.
Mm-hmm.
And you did it in one
Did
night.
it on a Sunday night, exactly right.
And
Now that weekend, it was obviously much was made about the fights in New York and the fights in Saudi Arabia, and then you guys. And Friday night was not super satisfying for anybody, I don't think, other than maybe Romero. Saturday night and the Canelo fight was not great. Then you
mm,
guys finished the weekend with just this gigantic banger of a fight. I would assume that is going to raise your profile too. You kind of said that in the ring, like this is what guys are supposed to do is bring it, and the next guys are going to have to step up to the level that Inoue and I created. So I'm guessing you feel even better because your fight was not only a great fight, but it was all clearly the best fight of the weekend too.
yeah, that's one thing that I take my hat off to me and in a way, because out of all the names, man, that are on that weekend, you got Teofimo Lopez, you have Ryan Garcia, you have Canelo Alvarez, you have you know, who else was it?
Devin Haney,
Devin Haney,
Devin Haney, right?
Jose Ramirez, Rolly Romero. Like you have all these guys, man, that are superstars, or guys that are world champions or ex-world champions, and you got them, and no one's talking about them. And when they're talking about them, it sucks. But when they're talking about them, they're not saying anything positive.
Right.
And when they talk about us, like I said, me and Inoue, they're not caring about who won or who lost. They're caring about how badass the fight was, and that we went out there and we saved the weekend. And for me, that's an honor in itself, man. That's an honor in itself.
Yeah, you guys won the weekend by a mile. It wasn't even close. So I mean, a lot was made of your career coming in. You're driving Lyft, or I guess it was Lyft and DoorDash, or
Hmm.
Lyft and one
Yeah.
of the other ones. Uh, it, Now I got to think you've been doing this for 10 years. You're not a new kid on the block as far as boxing goes, but it had been a while, and you hadn't gotten the break yet. So when you're in the car those nights, or when you're just slogging away in year number 6, are you ever close to giving it up because the break hasn't come yet? The moment with Inoue, the title fight, whatever, hadn't come yet. Did you ever get close to saying, "Oh, the hell with this"? It's just not going to happen, or were you always thinking, "Okay, it's still going to come. I'm just going to keep plugging away till it gets here"?
No, I mean, me, I've always been very positive in a sense of, I knew it was gonna come. I knew it, like deep down in my heart, like I knew I was gonna get that chance. When was the chance? Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I never knew when I was gonna get the chance, or no one really knows. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to ask you, hey, what are you doing in 6 months from now? You're gonna be like, bro, I don't
I
fucking
have no
know.
idea.
Like, no idea. So for me, people would, like I would just understand that my path was that path, and I would say, you know what, like no matter what, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. And I just kept faith, man. I kept faith, and I knew that I was gonna get there, and I knew if I kept winning, ultimately, I knew if I kept winning, I'd get there. And sure enough, man, like I kept winning, and we kept pushing forward.
Now, I'm sure, though, that being said, I'll play the other side of it. There are probably guys who had pretty decent careers, or at least had the potential for decent careers, who didn't get a break, who never got the fight that would put them to the next level, and did say, "The hell with it." This is too
Mhm.
rough a business, and I'm not making any money, and I got a wife and kid or whatever. What is it about you, and why were you able to stick with it when some of those guys probably have given it up along the way before they ever got the moment you got last week?
Well, it's because me, man, I've all like I put a hold on my life. No kids, no. I have a girlfriend. We've been together for 7 years, but I put a hold on marriage. I put a hold on kids and all that stuff. Like because for me, it's one of those things where I have to take this as far as I can. You know what I mean? Like I have to try to accomplish what I want to accomplish, or not necessarily try, but I have to do everything I can to accomplish my goals. And I understood, having kids and having a wife and having, like responsibilities and stuff like that. Like just having responsibilities in general is hard. Now imagine now you're talking about a kid and a wife, like that makes things 10 times harder. And then when you have a kid, like you don't want to be gone from your kid
Right.
because you're gonna miss his first steps, you're gonna miss his first word, you're gonna miss all that stuff. And that's one thing that I always kind of saw. And I always knew that like having kids would be, I mean, having kids are a blessing, man. I think, people always tell me, but I love my son, and I always tell them that's good. But when you're trying to be a boxer or you're trying to accomplish your dream in general, it's not something that you should do. And that's the advice I give to the kids now, like the younger kids when they're 17, 18. I always tell them, bro, whatever you do, man, like if you really want to make a living off of boxing, don't get anyone pregnant. Don't have kids. Don't, you can have a girlfriend, but don't get anyone pregnant because that right there will stop a lot of stuff.
Sure. I mean, it's got to be pretty much a singular focus. If you're going to achieve on the level that you guys want to achieve, this has got to be your priority ahead of anything else.
Yeah, and so that's my main thing is I've put my life on hold for that reason.
Now, how's the
Oh,
girlfriend feeling these days? She had to have enjoyed the fight in Vegas, and you know, is she
I mean,
leaning?
she was crying, man, and she was crying obviously because like we've been so it's a funny story because me and my girlfriend, we got together when I first lost my first loss. And now she had never seen me lost. She had never seen me lose. So then she saw me lose, but she was crying mainly because of all like the stuff that we used to like do. Like me and her used to do DoorDash together sometimes. You know what I mean? DoorDash, I didn't really like it because the money is like not as
Not
good
right.
as Lyft. Lyft is
Yeah,
way
I
better.
did it. I did DoorDash for a little while. I know. Yeah, the money's not very
Yeah,
good.
the money's not very good to be like going to a McDonald's and waiting there for 30 minutes and then
Right.
like it's not worth it.
Make
But
like
like with
$5. Yeah.
yeah, for me for lit with Lyft, it was better. And plus I like to talk to people. I've always been
Sure.
very talkative and I've always been very um I like to have conversation.
Mhm.
So for me, Lyft was better. And so she used to do Lyft with me and stuff. And then so it was one of those, I mean, DoorDash with me, and it was one of those things where um it was always my big goal, like my big dream. And I used to always tell her, like, babe, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Like I know it, I know it, I know it. And then I get there, and for her, she was relieved because she was like, like finally he got to where he wanted to go. Obviously, we didn't get the win, but you know, next time around, I think things will change. I think, once I get another world title opportunity, like now I know, what to expect and I know what it takes.
Well, you've seen the guy at the top of the mountain, so you know what that level's like.
Hmm.
So a couple of years ago, as you're driving around, driving people from wherever to the airport or whatever you're driving them to, you're still thinking. I mean, you're not letting that faith go away. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to be a world champion. This is still going to come, even though this is not a glamorous gig I'm in right now. Eventually, I will get there. That never went away.
Yeah, never, never, man. It never went away. I was always, like I told you, man, I was very faithful. I had faith that I knew that I could accomplish what I wanted to accomplish, man. And it's like anything, dude, like I think when you really want something, the earth, the life has this funny way of giving it to you. If that makes sense. Like it has a funny way of giving you what you want at the perfect time. Because, for example, like if I would have wanted this opportunity out of desperation, maybe I wouldn't have done what I did on my performance. You know what I mean? But God kind of said, you know what? I'm gonna give you a taste of what you want, and then I'm gonna give it to you so that way you know how to handle the situation.
So yeah, I mean, you talked about the future. You thought about the future a couple of years ago. You had the fight a week ago Sunday. Um, you mentioned kind of where when you get your next shot. So look at the landscape at 122. I mean, Inoue has talked about moving up to featherweight at some point if he gets through the end of this year unscathed. I would assume what's on your plate if you got what you wanted is either another crack at him or whatever is out there. If he does move up and suddenly all the belts are vacated, you got a wide open, expansive stuff to go after, and you're going to be a
Hmm.
guy that people are going to call immediately now because of that fight. You got to feel pretty good about the future over the next couple of years, I would guess, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel happy and I feel just grateful, man, because one fight changed my life, and it's again, like I said, like it's a loss, but it changed my life because now it showed people like, damn, this dude can actually fight. Like he's not somebody that we just thought in a way was gonna come and run over in the first round and okay, on to the next. Like this guy actually went out there and fucking went toe to toe with one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world and one of the best pound for pound fighters ever. And I went toe to toe with him, and now people are like, damn, like fucking Ramon, like actually he can fight. So
So you haven't got the world title yet. So I imagine that you must have enjoyed the taste of the moment and the idea that you went blood and guts with one of the best fighters in the world. That hunger has got to still be there to get to. I mean, because you're
yeah.
still not on the next level yet.
Oh yeah, no, bro. I'm very motivated. Even now I'm more motivated.
Right.
I'm more motivated to do something because now I know what it takes.
Right.
I know I like you said, like I've been in there with the best of the best, and now I know what it takes. Now I'm like, okay, like there's things I can work on and I'm gonna go work on them. And I know like now I know what it takes. You know what I mean? Now I understand. Have you seen that dude on TikTok? That dude who shoots the basketball?
All right. Right.
So you know how he shoots it and he hits the spike and he's like, now I understand.
Right.
Then
Gotcha.
he makes it. That's how I feel. Right now I'm at my now I understand moment where I'm like,
Gotcha.
okay, now I understand.
Nice. So have your people, your promoter, your manager, any talked about what could be next? I mean, you're going to take a little time off before you get in there again, right in there with a high end guy, a title shot soon. What do you think could be coming in the next 6, 8, 10, 12 months, whatever?
Right now, what's the plan is for me to take some time off because I just had two fights I like back to back
Right.
February and then May. And so I kind of want to, my promoter and them, my manager was like, just take some time off. So we'll be back one more fight at the end of the year. And then I've always been the type to, you have to rebuild back into title contention. You know what I mean? So, I got to earn my spot to fight for world title again. And I know it'll come once Inoue vacates the belt, then or vacates his titles and moves up to 26 or whatever situation, I know I'm going to be front in line to fight for world title. And I'm excited, man. Like for my thing is, people say they want to fight until the fight presents itself. Then it's like all of a sudden, oh well, I'll fight, but give me 5 million or give me
Right.
10 million or give me 15. Like, then that's when it's kind of like you don't really want to fight. If you really want to fight, you take whatever they're giving you and you do it. And so, for me, it's just waiting and seeing what holds, what life holds for me.